What's my auto accident case worth? That's one of the most common questions people have following an accident. And I'm going to talk about the three most important factors that will determine the value of every case that most people don't know about. Almost every client I talk to wants to know, what's their case worth? How much is the insurance company going to have to pay me for my injuries? It's a very, very important question. Everybody deserves to be treated fairly. But I can tell you there's no easy formula, there's no easy settlement calculator, rule of thumb to follow to determine the value of your case. But I can tell you there's three important factors that I look at and that the insurance companies look at to determine the value of your case. The first one is liability. Who was at fault? Second thing we look at is injuries. What are the injuries? The third factor is, what are your medical expenses? This is the one thing that most people focus on the most. Your case is normally, it could be worth less than 3 times your bills. It can be worth much more than 3 times your bills. It depends on so many other things. Let me give you an example. A case we recently resolved. Our client was injured last year. She was hit by a semi. It was determined that the truck was at fault after reviewing the police report and getting witness statements. There was a small liability dispute, but it was we were able to get the trucking company to admit 100% fault. So that was the first thing we looked at, was liability. The second thing was injuries. Our client was banged up pretty good. She hit her head and she had some back and neck injuries. Initially, it was thought to be soft tissue type injuries. She was later diagnosed with a herniated disc in her neck. And she was also diagnosed with a PTSD from all the trauma of the accident. And she had a diagnosis of PTSD, and she also had a diagnosis of the herniated disc, which is very, very important, because that means it's not soft tissue. So you go up to a higher tier as far as what your case is worth. Then the third thing we looked at, which was the most challenging, was her medical expenses. Her medical expenses were around $40,000, I think a little less than $40,000. So there was a decent amount of bills, but there wasn't, that for this type of accident, it really wasn't a ton of medical bills. The reason her medical bills weren't that high is because she preferred to do more conservative treatment. She did a lot of massage. I think she did acupuncture and some other therapy, chiropractic, and so forth. She did not want to have any injections, and she definitely did not want to have surgery. But what we did on her case is to get her medical expenses higher. We got an opinion from her doctor that her herniated disc in her neck was going to require surgery in the future, or may require surgery in the future. And he opined that the cost of that surgery was in his report as well. So that's how we were able to bump up her damages. In this particular case, she had $40,000 in medical bills, and we recovered $250,000 from the at-fault driver's insurance company. So as you can see, I mean, it was much more than 3 times her medical bills, but there's just so many factors that go into every case. So I hope this information is helpful to you, and if you have any questions, or a family member have any questions about your case, feel free to reach out to my office with any questions you may have. Click on the link below. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about your case, and thanks for listening.